Thank you for staying with us. We have in the hot seat the Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries and Natural Resources and Cooperatives. And Minister, you are serving in a United Workers' Party government led by the former Minister for Tourism, Mr. Alan Shastney. And there is a claim that we are overly reliant on tourism. How do you respond?
If you followed my presentation in the Parliament, I spoke to this. I do believe we are over relying on tourism. Tourism is critical and important for us in all subsectors, not only agriculture. Okay, what happened? If you look at the Economic and Social Review for 2020, you'd realize because of the negative impact that COVID had on the tourism, on the hospitality subsector, a lot of the other sectors were affected because the tourism industry provide a reliable market for us, be it manufacturing, agriculture, whatever you think of, it's important. The taxi drivers. So it's how we capitalize. To me, that's important. How we capitalize as a country on the opportunities that this subsector provides.
Your government is also being accused of favoring big business and foreign investment over the interests of local business interests. From where you sit, how does it look?
That's incorrect. And those who are saying that, I'm sure they would, if they reflect a bit, they would remember that in 2019, my government, under the Ministry of Commerce, went and changed the Finance Act. Why? To provide more opportunities for small businesses that were never considered in the Finance Act. For example, professionals, the creative industry, the spas and wellness centers, okay? So what did we do? We went and we said, look, we believe that these small businesses are critical for us in our economic development. Let's change the Finance Act so at least they can get all the concessions that they require in equipment and whatever, packaging material, to give them that support. So that's incorrect. Our action speaks totally different to what is being proclaimed out there.
I hear you, Mr. Minister. But our concern is that it appears from reporting and from what has been expressed by the Prime Minister himself that foreign companies like Ojo Labs come down to St. Lucia and they have access to funding and support that our local businessmen and women do not have access to. And while you're answering that question, if you could please guide us as to how to get access to that kind of support.
I don't know why would people think that way. I mean, it's clear that there's a process. It's clear that based on your investments, your requirement for support will be much higher. It's not something only with my government. Let me speak to a recent situation in my constituency. The Talvan lands was assigned 3 days before the general election 2016 to a foreign company. And you want to see the arrangements and the conditions under which these lands were given to the foreign company. So it's not something only if people are wanting to point fingers, let's be honest. All right? We need foreign investments. We need local investments. Okay, we need both. A young person who is interested, in fact, as a government, we working with the Central Development Bank, put resources there to help small business, both loan and grant funding, depend on the size of your business. That is well patronized by locals. So we have put in place a number of policies, programs to support our local businesses. Of course, it's just that when you hear 5 years or 10 years or 20 years duty-free or tax-free, it looks big because of the size of the investment. But the reality is we have in place policies that will help these individuals.
Have you made any inroads in the St. Lucia Labour Party strongholds like Foaso as you campaign this time around?
I suspect That's why they decided not to send back Miss Reynolds, because the figures will show you she did very dismal in Fonso. And despite the fact they victimized my people in Lage by not constructing the school, as a party, United Workers' Party, that's not how we operate. We don't operate that way. If there's a program that will impact the people, we do it. And the records are there. And under my watch, the records are there. That we don't look at who you support. Question of victim. Oh, you hear a lot of crap about victimization. Who have been more victimized than me by the St. Lucia Labour Party?
On the topic of victimization, then, your colleague Senator Fortuna Belrose, suggested recently that constituencies that do not vote for the United Workers' Party and have not bought into your philosophy and therefore would not receive the same amount of support or same type of support that as constituencies that did elect representatives from the United Workers' Party. Is that the position of the United Workers' Party?
That's not the position of the United Workers' Party. Let me speak for my area of responsibilities. WASCO is under my watch. When we came in as a government, we found two major projects, water improvement projects, in opposition constituencies. We could have stopped it. Denry North and Viewfort, and the Viewfort project serves Viewfort South, Viewfort North, and Labrie. We didn't stop it. We continue with it. Right? Unlike the St. Lucia Labour Party. Watch what they did. When they were doing the major highway in St. Lucia, they stopped the road in Denry North and they continue it in Viewfort North. The piece between Denry South, and Viewfort North wasn't done. Why? Because it was represented by a United Workers' Party candidate. That's not how we operate. Let me give another example. Fort Capesh in Viewfort North, a project started by the parliamentary representative. I continue it. So when I have people making a big, issue about and try to spin what was being conveyed, what I think was being conveyed is that the responsibility is not her responsibility because she's not a rep. The rep is the member of parliament, the honourable the leader of government business, leader of opposition business. He's the one responsible for program. But I don't think the question of re-victimizing constituencies that do not support us, I don't think that's correct. That's my example, and my implementation of programs does not speak to this.
Generally, right now, because the world has changed, and of course we have moved into an era where technology has taken over, and we see the use of technology even in elections and election campaigning. Young people, of course, are clamoring for a seat at the table. And the question to you is, youthfulness and fresh ideas is something that the young voter is looking for. And of course, you have run a few times. You are getting up there in maturity. Do you think that you have the youthful vigor, the youthfulness, the fresh ideas that the young people want?
You never have all the ideas. It's how you go around the constituency, interacting with people and getting from them what are their opinions and what are the areas of focus. I have that training. As a rural development specialist, I have that training. Okay? I agree with you. We need to bring on board our young people because they are the future. And as the parliamentary representative, I've said it earlier in our discussion, the question of a vibrant youth and sports council. That is where you get all the ideas, You get people to own up to what has been done in the constituency as far as programs that will impact positively on young persons. So my approach, based on my training, would allow that to happen.
It is said that the prime ministers in small island developing states like St. Lucia are tantamount to kings, especially when it comes to setting the date for the general elections. It has been proposed that we have a fixed date for general elections to reduce at least that amount of power. Do you believe that there should be a fixed date for general elections?
I think we need to revisit our constitution and make a lot of changes. Not only a fixed date for constitution, there are a lot of other things that we need to change. And in fact, there was a committee going around looking at what are the changes that need to be made. I think the time has come for us to implement some of these recommendations.
And is the election date one of those?
Well, that's one of the recommendations that was made by the committee.
Political analysis, observers, political scientists, St. Lucians are all predicting a very close elections. What are your predictions for this upcoming general election?
Well, I don't know what you call a very close elections.
9 maybe?
But what I'm saying is that we are going to win the elections. That's the United Workers' Party. I have the fullest confidence that we might win more seats than the 11. Of course, one have to understand, and like you said earlier, I've been in this for some time now, and the campaign would be totally different because of COVID situation, right? But I'm confident that we are going to win more than 11 seats.
Moving into Babonneau. You have served 10 years in all, but 5 years between 2006 and 2011, and now 2016 to the end of this term. What are your major achievements in the constituency of Babonneau?
I was going for the constituency, and that same question was asked of me by a constituent. What would you say is your number one achievement? And I was thinking, said, improvement to the water system in Babonneau. Now, I never saw it as my major achievement. It depends on who you speak with, right? And I'm sure there was a person who will tell you a new school at Laguerre will be my major achievement because it will impact that individual. I'm sure the young people will tell you putting lights on the Laguerre field, the Balata field, and the François field would be my major achievement because it affect that individual. So it depends on who you speak with. I can say that I have a holistic approach when it comes to Babonneau. Again, because of my training. I train at the rural development level masters, right? So I understand what it means to go into a community, do the research, interact with the people, right? Find out from them what is it that they need, what they would like to see a rep do to assist them in developing themselves. And coming up from that experience, coming from that exercise, I develop programs. I have seen the police station and fire station, okay? And if I get a joke how that came about, my maiden address as the candidate for the United Workers' Party in 2006 on the platform, political platform, speaking to the people and asking them to support me. At that time I was running against Mr. Felix Finiste. You know, on the stage, there are people behind you, cajoling you and encouraging you. And there's an individual, I can mention his name, Ozzy, you know, Oswald Augustine, shouting, tell the people you could build a police station, tell the people you could build a fire station for them, tell them that if they elect you. And here it is, in the mood. I shout, if you elect me, I'll build a police station or fire station for you. That's a commitment. Did I deliver? Of course I delivered. The police station is there. The fire station is there. I can tell you, I've had a lot of social programs. I've had a lot of programs as far as economic development. I've had a lot of programs giving support to school children.
But there is still criticism that Babonneau, as one of the largest constituencies, has no major sporting facility, although it has produced many notable sportsmen and women, sporting facility or sporting program for that matter. It has no major supermarket, no outstanding park, no ATM just in the event you need to get money, or banking service for that matter. If you're in Babonneau and you run out of cash, you have no money. So why is that?
Let's look at no major sporting facility. I don't know those who are making that remark, what they refer to as a major sporting facility. Babonneau can boast of the only rural community in St. Lucia, with free fields with lights on it. That's a fact. Babno can boast, under my watch, that the first rural community in St. Lucia to have lights on a playing field. That's Lage. Okay? Now, you use a point that's very interesting. It's not a matter of infrastructure. It's a matter of programs. Okay? I have worked with my first term with the Youth and Sports Council, give them resources to help them develop meaningful sporting programs, and not only sporting programs, but educational programs too. Because you have young people who are not only interested in the football and the cricket and the netball, and you have other areas of interest. Okay? Coming back in 2016, what did I find? No meaningful cricket tournament in Babuno. The lights that I put in Lage, not functioning. The lights I put in Balata, not functioning. Okay? The court that I did in Timon, not finished. The court in Balata, not finished. No meaningful sporting programs. There's a Youth and Sports Council, right? Babuno is not taking part in the national cricket competition. Babuno is not recognized as a league in the St. Lucia national football entity.
Were the people of Babono not keen on continuing these programs on their own?
It's a result that it's lack of leadership. Lack of leadership. What we were able to do, we were able to undertake, first of all, to put the infrastructure there, the Balata field and the Debawa field for cricket, the Fongaso field and the Lage field for football. And what happened? What we saw? We saw the Babono cricket team started at the second division level. The following year moved to first division, right? And after that played semi-finals, which means there was some significant improvement. The footballers, right? Unlike cricket, you need structures, you need club structures, and I'm a strong component. I'm a strong individual when it comes to clubs. Right now, Babono have about 8 clubs, and Babono is recognized by the national football. Babono is taking part in the national competition. So when I'm hearing there's no meaningful major sporting infrastructure, I ask myself, what are you talking about?
So we are approaching another general elections. What are your transformative plans for the constituency of Babono?
There are a lot of things we're looking at. One, the question of Italvan lands. We have to finalize Italvan lands, right? I'm happy that the National Housing Corporation was able to get us out of that agreement that was signed between the then government and the French company. Now we are developing the Talvan lands. We have 2 sections. One, what we call regularization of persons occupying the area. These individuals will have an opportunity to purchase the lands. Okay. What we were able to do was to reduce the price from $13 a square foot to $6 and $7 for these individuals. Now let me explain. If you want to go into a lease rental arrangement, right, you pay $7 a square foot. So which means every month you pay, and at the end of 5, 6, 7, 8 years, depending on how fast you pay, the land will become yours. If you're going to buy it outright, you pay $6 a square foot. That's for the area that we are regularizing. The area what we call new territory is going to be, it's looking at, let's talk about $15 a square foot. I'm negotiating for $13 a square foot with National Housing. So that is a project I want to see finished. Another project that is close to my heart is that when I was the rep during my first period, I upgraded the Babono Health Center. Now I was in a level 4 health center, but just interestingly, I got a call from an individual from Caribbean Development Bank 2 weeks ago, asking me, am I still interested in the plans I had for the Babono Health Center? And that is to extend the hours that we provide service to these people from Babono. Can we do something in Babono where you can extend the hours to accommodate people like that? And I've started discussion with the authorities, to explore the possibility of extending the hours. And I was happy when I got a call from Caribbean Development Bank indicating whether I was still interested in taking that activity. So that's the next thing I'm looking at very seriously. The question of extending the hours at the Babono Health Center to accommodate certain type of medical situations. The other big one is the Lage School. There was a lot of talk. Why a new school for Lage? The Lage school started since during my first term, and the Lage school should have been finished by now if I was a rep between 2011 to 16. Unfortunately, the then government did not see the need for the Lage school.
Since 2006, then, there has been swinging support in Babonneau. One United Workers' Party support representative, and then a St. Lucia Labour Party representative. Are you at all afraid? Are you at all fearful that this trend might continue this election?
Not at all. I can tell you one of the challenges I had in 2011 is that my supporters, in order to the refrain, I win already. And they did not go out to the polls in the numbers I expected them to do. They did not make that mistake in 2016. They went out because, of course, they were able to assess and evaluate what I accomplished between 2016 compared to what was done between 11 to 16. So I am confident that the supporters, despite the challenges of COVID, of course, and that's one of the biggest challenges we have as a government, people being unemployed, right? That's one of the biggest challenges we have. But despite that, people would come out and support us because they will tell you that it could have been worse. Let's look at the unemployment figures. When we came in 2016, it's about 24%. That's a fact, right? We brought it down in 2019 to 16%, which means we were implementing policies that impacted positively St. Lucians to be able to reduce unemployment to that level. Despite what we face with COVID, what is it now? 21%. Much lower than when the Labour Party was there. With all these layoffs, with all these closures and things, 21%. So what is that telling St. Lucians? What is that telling us? It's telling us that the policies that we have been able to identify and implement, despite the fact that we have the COVID situation, it's not normal days. And if I can quote my Prime Minister, we have to exist with COVID. Right? We're still seeing that we have a lower unemployment figure compared to the good days when Labour Party was there.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. And thank you for tuning into the Hot Seat this evening. Please join us next week for another exciting edition of The Hot Seat with me, Crystal Riviere. Good night.